this out of. There we go. Right. It looks like we are live, motherfuckers. We are live. And yes, this is the first live podcast, so why the fuck not? Let's give it a shot. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what this live thing is all about.
Especially with a substitute, even better.
Yeah, well, as you can see, 2Ks is not with us today. He's actually on a much-needed hunting trip, so it's the start of the hunting trip, so I'm pretty sure it's not a good idea to tell him if it's brown, put it down quite yet. Maybe more towards the end of the trip, but you're kind of being selective when it comes to this so far. So
That's right. It's tough for him. You're sitting out in the stand. You let a typical 10 walk out, and you're thinking, man, it's first day. I don't want to burn my tag.
Right, and just sit there and do nothing for the rest of the trip while everyone's out.
Rest of the trip, you let that one go, and all you see are spikes, and you're kicking yourself. So, who knows?
Yep.
Just like fantasy football, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah. You give me a shout this morning, and I kind of give you my advice, and my advice was absolutely horrible, so I do apologize for that. But like you said, you never know.
What are you gonna do?
You never know.
Matt Ryan, first week put up 65 for me, and this week solid 28. So what are you gonna do?
That's that's super on point. That is for sure. So, but no, let me double check just to make sure we're live here. Yeah. Maybe. It says end stream, so we must be streaming.
Sounds good to me.
So yeah, what my plan is, ladies and gentlemen, is yes, there still is going to be an audio portion of this on the uploaded as usual, but instead of doing the video portion, editing that, uploading it to YouTube, we're gonna try the actual just say F it and stream and see where we're headed. So. Let's jump into the title, the content, and yes, it is something that near and dear to my heart is baseball, of course, and it's been a constant conversation throughout the whole season. How do we handle the Astros? What's going to go on? Is there going to be a lot of beanballs and what's going on? And then once the season progressed, we kind of saw how different teams, different pitchers, different players handled that. So,
because it's always in the back of your mind as a starting pitcher, you're thinking, you're hearing noises. The stadium's empty.
Yeah, especially
So now you're hearing noises, and whether it be an old stadium creaking or somebody scuffing their shoe, you're thinking that Jose Altuve's over there banging out a trash can, telling Correa that, hey, I'm throwing a curveball.
Yep, and one of the more ironic parts about that is they ended up finishing the season under 500, and there's a lot of people that didn't even think that they should even be in the playoffs, and the whole reason they're in the playoffs is because they gave that extended an additional playoff spot. So they took it and ran with it. I mean, if you're an Astro fan, you can't really be mad about what they did. They did everything they did to make the tournament, and they've succeeded.
Absolutely.
They've succeeded. Now, there's a lot of people that did not want them to get to this point, obviously, myself included. If 2Ks was sitting in that chair where you're at, Chris, he'd be saying the same thing, because even last week we didn't even want to fucking talk about the Astros. But now we kind of have to. It's
ALCS.
The ALCS winner represents the American League in the World Series. And we've got the Rays and the Astros. And two very similar teams, I would say.
Both throwing out lefties day one, hard fastballs.
Actually, it's tonight. Yeah, they're playing tonight. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I was hoping that we wouldn't have to talk about. But does this kind of, I'm not gonna say make up for what they did, but does it make them? Let's be realistic. The Astros have talent.
Big time.
They have some of the best young talent in the game. Now, it does suck that Verlander went down early. That's not, even as an old Tiger, as a Verlander fan, I always like watching him pitch. I don't care who the fuck he's playing for. But could he have helped them and make them more legitimate, sure.
He would be the game one starter, no doubt.
Oh, hands down. And, then, of course, they lost Garrett Cole, which I'm so glad the Yankees didn't make so glad the Rays beat the Yankees.
Me too. How about that clutch homer in the 8th inning off of Chapman?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's for the Astros to get to this point, you obviously have to have talent. And even in their quote unquote cheater years, and by all means, guys, I'm not trying to make amends for what they did. Yes, the game is easier when you know which pitch is coming, but you still have to have the hand-eye coordination to put bat to ball.
It's still an 85-mile-an-hour curveball coming at you.
Yeah, and they're still great defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Correa is one of the best fielding shortstops in the league. Altuve is one of the better fielding second baseman in the league. So is Bregman's an extremely above average third baseman.
Yep.
So and then
Springer is an excellent center fielder.
Yeah, and Josh Reddick can't hit worth a shit, but the only reason he has a spot on the squad is because he's an excellent right fielder. So does it make up for what they did? In my opinion, no. But does it kind of preach to how good they actually are? Yeah.
And it makes you wonder. We're in a pandemic shortened season. They're in the championship series.
Mm-hmm.
How much did it help?
Mm-hmm.
How much did it help if they're able to get here, minus Justin Verlander, minus Garrett Cole?
Yep.
Altuve didn't have a great division series.
Altuve had barely batted 200 the entire season.
So, it helps when Carlos Correa bats 500 in the postseason.
Yes. And you know what? For as much as he mouthed off, as much as he shot his fucking mouth off, he needed to have a great series because if he didn't, he'd look like a complete asshole. And whereas Bregman, I think going into everything was kind of the more outspoken, hot-headed out of when I say the big three, it's Altuve, Correa, and Bregman. Springer never really said anything.
No.
He just kind of was like, you guys do your thing. I'm just going to stay over here and kind of do my thing. So he really didn't chirp out a lot, but the other three did. And Bregman, I think, after wearing about 5 fastballs, decided he's going to shut his fucking mouth, which...
Yeah, ribs get a little tender after a while.
Yeah, I probably would have. First of all, I wouldn't have shot my mouth off. But if, that's one of those things where it's got to take a toll on you. And how much is your ego worth? How much more of these are you planning on wearing until you just decided, you know what, enough's enough.
In the back of your mind, when you walk up to the plate, are you thinking, is this pitch coming at my face?
Right.
Is this coming down the middle?
Yep. And those can't be easy. You can't. I guarantee none of those guys were ever comfortable in the box the whole year, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why Altuve batted 200, and that's once it gets to playoff time, the likelihood of you wearing one on purpose goes down a million times because you don't want to get suspended, unless you're one of those pitchers that just doesn't give a fuck. But if you're on the roster and on the bump, you're an important piece to that team because it's playoff baseball. So I really didn't. I think that's probably one of the reasons why you saw their batting averages go up is because they're not wearing them. They're not wearing them.
That and gamers come to play.
That is also true.
Gamers come to play. Altuve's a gamer. He's probably the best second baseman in the business, and you can't keep a good man down for long, even if he doesn't know that it's a changeup.
Right. Let me check something real quick.
So I think it goes to mention with the Astros being back in contention, other manager, Dusty Baker, one of the most respected guys in the league.
Yep.
A lot of guys around the league really, really like Dusty, even though they really hate the Astros.
And I 100% agree, and that's why I think extending him was an extremely good idea.
He brings legitimacy back to Houston.
Yeah, but on top of that too, there was a lot of folks that thought they were going to bring back AJ Hinch, and signing Dusty to. Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure the stream was public. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that makes me happy because we're not doing this just for us. So, but no, And of course, there's been rumors and ties to the Tigers interviewing AJ Hinch and my guy Cora, which I have a pretty good. For all of you guys that did not take me up on my offer, and there's any baseball game that's on, if you're watching, mute the TV, go to the Starting Nine podcast on YouTube, and listen to Dallas Braden and the Starting Nine crew commentate these games. They're fucking priceless, because Dallas Braden is fucking priceless. And just that, if you've never heard of the podcast, whatever you listen to your podcast on, subscribe, because they're an amazing podcast. They do a very good job. That's a very good, kind of story time, opinion, and stats all wrapped up into one. And they have great guests, and it's an overall good experience. It's just an overall good experience. So if you're not doing that, you need to do that, because half the time these fucking announcers on baseball games anymore these days are absolutely horrible. So, but no, Carabas,
shoot me now if I have to watch another game that Ken Rosenthal's in.
Oh God! Well,
get rid of your bow tie, bro. You don't wear it well.
If you see up here, we have this was a birthday present from my buddy Justin, a card for our Mr. Famous Joe Buck. And if you guys don't know, I do have shirts for sale that say Joe Buck sucks. So if you want one of those, let me know. Hit me up in the comments. I'll send you the Teespring link. Because I have black and white ones, and I think there's like 4 colors. So if you want one of those, let me know. But
next week on the podcast, we probably need to wear some Joe Buck sucks shirts.
I've got mine. Do you have yours?
I will. You better bet your ass I will.
Any of the viewers, any of us that are catching us live on the YouTube channel, we are talking about the impact of the Astros and how far they've made it in the playoffs. And let's kind of break it down a little bit. Like we said, they're playing the Rays. And if you did happen to listen to, I want to say it was 2 weeks ago or last week, we did a 2Ks and I broke down how we thought the rest of the playoffs would go, and my World Series pick on the American League side is the Rays, so obviously I'm standing behind that. And like you said, with that clutch homer in the 8th off Chapman, the boys made me proud. So I was super stoked about that.
98-mile-an-hour heater off a freaking lefty. Mm-hmm. Off one of the better closers in baseball.
Yep.
Guy could throw 100 mile an hour.
Still, every time Chapman comes in, I'm just constantly I get flashes of the home run Devers hit off of him his rookie year, and that dude in the stands just he's videotaping himself. He's like, Chapman, yeah, and all of a sudden Devers goes deep for the game winner, and he goes, yeah. Oh my God! See, even my dogs like the Red Sox. They like when we talk about that. So. Which this season we haven't had a whole lot to talk about as far as a Red Sox nation. So
not at all.
I guess if the Red Sox can't win, we don't want the Yankees to win either. So at least we got some pleasure out of that. But no, I think Kevin Cash and the Tampa Bay Rays are here to stay.
I think so too. A small market team, obviously made some really, really good decisions in the draft. Mm-hmm. He's one of the top GMs in the league. Along with the Braves GM,
mm-hmm. Which you look at their farm system too. Jesus Christ,
right?
They're about the if the Rays could get if they could make an off-season splash, which I know they won't because they're you just mentioned it. They're a small market team. Yet, however, they always have a great pitching staff. They usually always have a stud lefty. We go even back to David Price.
Mm-hmm. Blake Snell now.
Yeah, and there was a couple others sprinkled there in between. But if they could make a move and make a splash and sign Trevor Bauer,
that would be number 1 lefty and a number 1 righty, 1-2 combo.
And you have Austin
Garrett
Meadows,
Cole, Justin Verlander kind of feel.
And especially with Cole in the same division, makes it even more important that why you need some Now, granted, their pitching staff isn't too shabby.
It's no slouch. They're in the ALCS.
Yeah, and they're in arguably one of the hardest divisions in baseball. AL East is usually always very, very competitive. However, the Red Sox were down this year, but out of nowhere, the Orioles almost made the playoffs. So whoever thought that, you know?
Is Buck Showalter still the manager there?
I don't know.
I don't either. Who cares?
Yeah, but I always liked Buck Showalter.
I did too, but
I
guess it's the fucking Orioles.
I mean, yeah, he
they haven't been legitimate since Cal Ripken stepped off the field.
No, and but they did have one of my
maybe when Chris Davis was hitting home runs.
Oh, Crush.
Yeah.
Now
for this 1 year that he can't see the ball.
Yeah, now he's not crushing anything but maybe beer cans somewhere. But they had Adam Jones. Adam Jones quietly was one of the best center fielders in baseball.
Absolutely.
And his career was pretty much wasted there in Baltimore. And then luckily, Manny Machado was able to get the fuck out of there. So you would think that with that Machado trade, you would be able to bring some pieces over. And now you've got Adley, their number 1 overall pick a couple years ago. Let's see how much of an impact he can make. And maybe that team obviously made some strides because they were fucking awful last year. And I kind of assimilate them the same kind of way the Tigers with the Tigers. They're not there yet. They're on the rebuilding, and they're going to get there. But a team that seems to be kind of the same overall is the Pirates. Yeah. The Pirates are the Pirates of the Pirates, and
just kind of half-ass good, good enough.
Let's see how long Josh Bell is there because that kid's a fucking stud. But getting back to Tampa, now I would say as far as starting pitching is concerned, them kind of let's pick apart the different pieces, compare them to the Astros.
And I think that it's fair to say that maybe that's not a terribly great comparison because the Rays don't employ a 6-inning starter all the time.
No.
They they kind of shun. They don't mind going to the bullpen in the 3rd inning.
No, and for it makes more sense in my eyes for them to do that because they're not paying that number 1 starter $30-40 million a year where they're expecting 6 or 7 innings out of, like a Verlander, like a Cole, like some of these top-notch pitchers that you're expected to go 6 or 7. And if you look at the pitchers that are getting those contracts, that are getting that money, they're a little bit longer in the tooth. I'm not going to say old, but in comparison to some of these young arms that are live and fresh, you're not paying them $30 million a year to go 3 innings. So to me, it's more economical to have many 3-inning pitchers. Except for Snell. Snell usually goes.
Yep. He's the solid number 1 there. They expect him to go 6-7 innings.
Yeah, and
the only team in baseball to throw 4 shutouts in a row last 20-some years in the playoffs. So
yeah, and there's in my opinion, the Rays have a better starting rotation than the Astros. Because of just kind of what you hinted at is their flexibility, and there's your Lance McCullers, and this whole time I've been trying to think of the dude's name and I cannot put my finger on it.
The lefty starting game 1.
No, he's the righty.
Okay.
From Arizona. With the trade, I can see his face. Fuck. But Blake Snell is really about the only big name.
The only guy that if you're out the street in Michigan, you say, "Hey, you heard about the Rays?" Yeah. Blake Snell's a stud. Who else plays for him? Not really sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of dudes, in the bullpen that have got some run from there, but it just seems like to me anyway, the Rays starting pitching gets the check mark for me if we're comparing the two. Now the bullpen to me, it's kind of a toss up. I think the Rays have more flexibility in their bullpen. Whereas when you think of great bullpens, you think of obviously the Yankees are probably about the team that comes to the front right away. because they're fucking awesome. You know, they can throw
every year.
You know, 6-7 guys that are throwing gas at 100, and
but they're paying them.
Yeah, and then they're snapping hooks at 80. You know, I couldn't imagine being in the batter's box trying to combat that. Are you kidding me? So bullpen wise, I think it's kind of a wash. Now lineup wise, I'm gonna have to give a big check mark to the Rays. Even though all the players we just talked about for the Astros, you know, they've been there, they've earned their stripes. You know, that team's been together for the most part since the 16 season when the Cubs won in 16, so it had to be the year after that, 17. That, you know, they made their World Series trip and won. Pretty much that same core group of guys.
Yep, middle infield, center fielder, third baseman, all the same.
Yep.
Verlander's there.
But I like the way this Rays team is playing. I really do.
They're gutsy.
And what's crazy is that they're doing all of this and having all of this success without their number one prospect, Wander Franco, even coming up yet.
And I saw a stat with the Rays. We talk about them being gutsy. They were, I can't remember the exact one, but they were over 3/4 of the time they won one-run games.
Yeah.
Whereas the Yankees, when they were playing them, they 3/4 of the time lost.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, during the regular season, if I'm not mistaken, the Rays won 8 out of 10 from the Yankees. But with the Yankees, they don't really win one-run games because they're hitting bombs. I mean, the fucking ball's been flying out everywhere this postseason.
Mm-hmm.
You look at how many. I would be curious to see what was the percentage of runs scored on home runs.
I mean, it looked on that 8th inning home run. It looked like it came off the handle of the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't even look like he hit it that hard. But I mean, obviously it went out and they won. So
we look at the one that you look at the one that Judge hit to right field.
Yeah,
he missed that.
Literally
he missed that. And now
leaning over.
Yeah, and keep in mind that wasn't in Yankee Stadium.
The short porch.
Yeah, so in Yankee Stadium it would have been a fucking no doubter, but they were in Petco, where the ball doesn't really fly that way from a right-hander very often, or very well, I should say.
And it's not 314 on the line.
Exactly. But no, there was so many people on, like, if you were following along with the starting 9 boys, they were just, oh my god, and Jared, the host, was like, he's, because Jared's a huge Red Sox fan, and where'd the fucking game go? And he was talking about how, well, the chat was going on. He was following the chat, and they're like, well, which one of the Yankees do you hate the most? And he's like, I don't hate the Yankees. I don't hate he's like, well, Judge kind of, because he's like, I don't hate him because I hate him. I hate him because he has this kind of like, almost like arrogance about him, even though he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, and he's like 6'12".
Yeah, and which by the way, when he jumped up to try to rob that home run, went against him because he smashed his fucking head into the overhang and wasn't able to get it from the Austin Meadows home run. So yeah, that being tall at that point actually worked against him. So yeah, that was very funny to watch. And then a couple innings later, one of the Brett Gardner jumps up and makes a catch in left field. And everyone was wondering why there wasn't a pad in left field, so he couldn't jump up and hit it too. So, but no, it
was a good catch.
It was. And being a Red Sox fan, I hate Brett Gardner, but I guarantee and this is something that we've talked about on the podcast a few times. He's probably one of those guys, if he's on your team, you absolutely fucking love him. But if he's not on your team, you absolutely fucking hate him. So I'm pretty sure that's the case. But yeah, they're, this series, and like I said, it's going on right now, and my fantasy football team has a lot riding on the Vikings-Seahawks game, so we're watching that rather than the actual baseball game.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett scores a touchdown. Just give me a shout I can let everybody know how excited I am.
But it's raining like cats and dogs in Seattle right now, so Not sure how much. Well, Kirk Cousins tried to pass that, so pretty sure the run game is going to be featured on this. So let's see what happens. But I think this series is going 7. I really do. Because if you guys haven't been paying attention, the first round games were the best of 3. This last round was best of 5, and now the CS and the World Series are best of 7. So keep that in mind. It's the best of 7. I do think this is going to go 7 games, but I am still sticking with my Rays pick. So what are your thoughts, Mr. Reed? Who are you taking and how many games?
I think the Astros get it done. I really do. I think that they are one of the, if not the hottest team in baseball. Correa is on absolute tear.
Yep.
Jose Altuve is back. George Springer quietly getting the job done. Now, bottom of their lineup, like you said, definitely not as good as the Rays. But I think the top of their lineup gets it done in 6.
You're going Astros in 6, huh?
I'm going
All right.
Astros in 6.
All right, yeah, I've become a huge fan of Rosarena, which I'd never heard of the kid until this last round of playoffs or this last series with the Yankees. But you talk about a kid with a fast bat, and oh my God, huge fan of him right now. Huge fan. If you're a sports card collector, you might want to get on his stuff before everyone else does. Hint, hint. Secret from Turbo. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't gotten any chats, so if you do want to go ahead and if you have any questions for us, it does look like you have some viewers, so feel free to chat. Hit us with any of your questions, whether they're relevant or not, and I will see if I can put your comment up on the screen so we can chat with you. But yeah, so let's move from that, and kind of the other elephant in the room is the Dodgers. The Dodgers pretty much picked apart my Slam Diego.
Bad.
But you know what? I had a feeling that was, you talk about a David and Goliath fucking matchup. You've got the established, creme de la creme.
Best team in baseball.
Yeah, at least unarguably the best team in the National League.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
There's been some teams that have been hot and caught fire, but the Dodgers have just been the steady eddies of the entire season and into the postseason. Now, some of the games have been a little bit closer than I thought they would have been, but it kind of like right now it's like college football when you have a Notre Dame type team against a Navy. Where Navy has to play a special type of game and almost a perfect game to beat a Notre Dame, a Michigan State, a more traditional powerhouse teams. And eventually those bigger, stronger offensive linemen for the Notre Dame, the Michigan, or the Michigan State wear down the smaller, faster Navy team, especially on the offensive line pushing on the defensive line. And that's when you see big-ass holes open for like Notre Dame's running backs, and you pretty much every game you'll see like a 40 or 50 yarder pop off, just because the big
usually in the second half. Yep,
the bigger, stronger athletes wear down the smaller ones, and to me it's kind of similar to the way that the Dodgers have been doing business this season. And for fuck's sake, why not? Why not? You made the biggest splash in the offseason by signing not Manny Machado, but my boy Mookie, and signing him for a long time and a lot of money. So yes, you should be rolling. You should be keeping going. And Kershaw has actually pitched well. Kershaw has actually pitched well in the postseason for probably the first time in his career. And if you've been following his career for any amount of time, that's been the monkey that's been on his back, is he cannot get past. He's similar to Greg Maddux, like when we were growing up in that Atlanta Braves lineup, which should have won way more than one World Series title with the starting pitching they had.
1-2-3 combo of Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz. Unbelievable.
And for Kyle and I have even talked about it at great lengths too. It's how can that pitching staff only have one? And it's going to happen that if the Dodgers don't win this thing, especially the way the season's set up, where you saw teams like the White Sox, where there might be a year or two away, like San Diego, that might be a year or two away, make some fucking noise. And they withstood that. Like I said, those smaller teams were trying to push.
When it came down to it, the Dodgers got the job done.
Yeah, the better athletes right now. The better team right now.
Senior versus a freshman, right?
Exactly. And where you would think that the 60-game season would have brought on more of these freshmen, let's use your analogy, which did. The White Sox, obviously, the Astros made it in, but they're not they're more the varsity per se. But to have a more wide open playoffs is what I'm trying to get to, and still be that number one seed and still be that dominant, I think is more of an accomplishment than actually making a run, a 162 game season, making the playoff run, where it's less likely that something would pop off like that. Now, did it pop off like that? No. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that wrote San Diego off and said they wouldn't make it past first round. And unfortunately, they ran into... They were going to have to do it anyway if the Dodgers kept winning.
A better Dodgers team.
Yeah. So,
at the end of the day.
But this is the put up or shut up year for the Dodgers. And I think there's been a lot of people that have been saying that for the last 3 years. But as far as Kershaw is concerned, he's not getting any younger. Father time never loses unless it's against Tom Brady. And this is the year. And he's so far put up.
I'm sorry, you talk about father time. I just can't help but think of Julio Franco for the Braves.
Oh, yeah. I don't
know how old that guy was. Hitting. Huge swing. He's like 50-some years old. Out there just swinging away.
Swinging a 38-ounce bat. Yeah.
Bats as long as my leg.
Big-ass chaw. Yep, I know exactly. And then it seemed like the Braves cycled through a lot of those old folks. Like Dave Martinez, the pitcher, that seems like he was there forever. And, well, in the league forever anyway. But yeah, you're 100% right with that. And then, so, getting back to my point, I know it's kind of a long-winded way to say this, but do the Braves have any sort of chance to make the series competitive? Do they have a chance to win the series? And how do you see it playing out?
I mean, I think anytime you have a good core of young guys, Ronald Acuna, I think they have a chance. Kershaw can't pitch as well as he has for the Braves to even have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Bellinger has to not hit.
Which there's been stretches so far that he hasn't.
So I think they do have a shot.
I think there's a lot of people that are writing him off too quick. Because, I mean, if you look at it on paper, sure, this should be maybe a 5-game series. Braves might squeak one out. And it would take some absolute fucking onions, or some would say stupidity, to pick this much of an underdog in a 7-game series. Now, if it was still a 5-gamer, I think the Braves have more of a chance to win 3 than they have to win 4.
I agree with that.
And I actually had someone comment or send me a DM because I said something about that last week, and I said, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Think about what I just said. The Braves have a better chance of winning 3 games rather than 4. The reason the series are where they're at, and it's harder to win a 7-game series, because you have to win 4 out of the 7. So you have to win more games. So
for the Braves, them being obviously not the number 1 seed, they have to win one in L.A.
Well, I can't remember where all the games are at, but they're doing like the bubble thing.
Yeah.
Now,
shit.
Had this be,
whoops,
had this be like regular,
They'd have to win one in
yeah.
LA, but yeah, they're playing at the Wide World of Sports, right?
Something similar to that. Yeah, I want to say the American League's in one and the National League's in another one right now. So there really is no, obviously there's no fans, so there's no home field advantage, which sucks because I think baseball is one of those, there's a lot of fucking people and it can get loud in playoff time. So, but that might play right into the Braves' hands because they're not so much as used to it as the Dodgers are. They might not clam up because of the
the
lack
Braves
of
have
fans.
nothing to lose.
Fuck no.
They got nothing to lose. They'll go out there and just play loose.
And Acuna is getting hot at the right fucking time, and I have a feeling that he's kind of upset with this whole Fernando Tatis Jr. is the new face of baseball. Which I'm not taking anything away from Fernando Tatis because that kid's fucking amazing.
That guy's a stud.
But
that home run he hit and that bat flip.
Yep.
Woo.
Yeah. Well,
that took some onions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he doesn't lack in the onions department.
No.
When you're swinging 3-0 and hitting a grand slam, that takes some onions or just I love the way the kid plays the game. Plays it balls out, plays it balls to the wall. But no, I think that Mike Trout is kind of he's like he's the top of the top. He's the player's player. The only problem is that Angels have fucking sucked since the goddamn rally monkey, and they have the best player, one of the best players in the history of baseball, going right now, and you're wasting his whole entire fucking career.
And you're paying him a shitload of money.
Yeah, and they have to.
Absolutely.
If they wanted to keep him,
if they want to pay him a shitload of money, then why not spend the other money and get somebody that's half-as decent around him?
Well, I think too. Once the Pujols contract is up, that'll free up about another $40 million a year.
What a boondoggle.
Yeah, but yeah, it's
Is that up this year? Or?
I think he's still got a couple more.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Trout's gonna be freaking 40 by the time that guy's quit.
But
not to take anything away from Pujols because obviously he was a stud. But
and if you actually look at how I saw this, so it was a meme on one of the fan of the baseball groups that I'm in. If you look at the first 10 years of Trout's career compared to the first 10 years of Pujols' career, Pujols has better numbers than Trout did, which was completely fucking ironic. But no, I think Acuna is kind of pissed off because he's getting kind of left in the wings because he was that kind of heir apparent to Trout, if you want to kind of put it that way, even though they're both contemporaries. But no, even look at Acuna's card prices. I mean, they're fucking through the roof, and
more than what his contract is. 8 years, $100 million.
Right.
What a freaking steal.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think he's, him and Albies both. They both signed for very, very cheap. But to me, I think he's fired up. Now, the Braves pitching staff could use a little help, but
that will be their downfall.
Their offense can keep up with the Dodgers.
They can hit the ball.
Yes.
It's just so can the Dodgers.
Yep. And the Dodgers' Achilles heel is Kenley Jansen in the bullpen. Now you're talking Kenley Jansen 10 years ago. That's a different story. The man was lights out. He hasn't been lights out since like 2015, 2016. He's always been shaky, but somehow gets it done. And if you look back on it, had he been more sustainable, just more consistent throughout the playoffs, I think that there's a couple times it was the Dodgers. That's the reason Dodgers lost series. The reason Dodgers lost games.
They needed old goggles. Eric
Gagne, yeah, yep. Yeah, that dude was a stud, but
obviously so was Jansen.
Yeah, Jansen's been one of the best closers in the game. Like I said, over his career, there's only a handful of other guys I would have taken. Obviously Mariano, even though it pains me to say it as a Red Sox fan, the man was the best at what he did ever.
Trevor Hoffman with the Padres.
Yep. Even And there's 3 or 4 of them that I would take before him, but he's definitely a top. He's been a top 10 closer the past 15 years, regardless. But like I said, however, even the whole regular season, the last couple, he's been the kind of which Canely are we getting? So I think the Braves have a shot. I think people are writing them off way too easy. Do I think they're going to beat the Dodgers? No. Would it completely and utterly shock me if the Braves win? No, the Braves are a good fucking team.
And it won't be a 1-0 game they're going to be winning. It'll be a 7-6.
Oh, it's
8-7.
It's going to be a slugfest, especially like we talked about the way the fucking ball has been flying out this whole postseason. Yeah, there's Acuna is going to make his presence known. Albies is. I mean, you got Freddie Freeman, who quite possibly could be the NL
right, 1-year
NL
contract.
MVP.
Man, that guy just comes in
and Freddie's been probably. I mean,
no, Freddie's not on a 1-year contract.
No,
I'm thinking of another guy. Who the fuck am I thinking of?
I'd say Freddie's been with the Braves for a long time.
I just read an article about how the GM on the Braves has really lights out with 1-year contracts with 2 or 3 guys. I can't remember their names. Obviously, I'm not up to date on Braves baseball as well as I should be. But
they're not on TBS any longer like we were like when we were kids.
Yeah.
So
Josh Donaldson, did he play for the Braves last year?
Last year, yep.
Yep.
He's
they let him walk.
He signed a deal with the Twins this year.
Yeah.
But no, it's
somebody this year has a 1-year deal and it's worked out really well too. I can't remember who it is. Whatever.
But yeah, Freddie Freeman. I mean, him and Tatis Jr. are probably going to get the most votes for NL MVP this year, hands down. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to, do the Dodgers stay hot? Does Mookie, because even the year Mookie won a World Series with the Red Sox, he hit like shit. I think during the World Series he hit like 200 with like 2 RBIs. He's hit better this postseason. He's been a lot of the catalyst behind most of these.
Started out their last rally with a double.
Yep.
And they put up 4 runs, and that last inning they scored no home runs.
Mm-hmm.
A big deal for them.
Yeah, because like you said, Bellinger's been. It's probably one of his most on and off years, because it's 60 fucking games, but
right. They played more games in spring training near than they have this year.
Yeah, and you look at the way Bellinger started out last year. He hit well into the season for at a 400 average. That's one of the reasons why he was the NL MVP, because the kid just raked. And but again, all through baseball, you saw perennial 300 hitters that hit less than 200. Christian Yelich is one of the first ones that come to mind. We've already talked about Altuve.
Yeah, first part of the year, the pitchers were dominant, obviously.
And you even look at a team like the Tigers. Cabrera was just starting to get hot when the season ended. And, first of all, it's kind of well known that Latin players don't really start hitting well. Yeah, which you could say, well, Turbo started in August, sure, but he's been doing this for so long that his body's not used to gearing up and ramping up.
That, and he's put on a few pounds here in the last few years.
This year he looked.
Did he look better?
This year he looked more fit this year than I've seen him in the last like 3 or 4. And you could tell by the way he moved. His knees felt better, his ankles felt better. I mean, obviously he missed most of the season the year previous because of a bicep injury, so it had nothing to do with his lower half. So, he definitely took the time to rehab and get everything where it needed to be. And on top of that, he was DHing. I don't think he played a single inning at first. I could be mistaken, but they're not going to have to worry about him playing first because of Mr. Torkelson that's going to come up here in a couple years and just fucking rake. But the sad, getting back to those 1-year contracts, the Tigers signed C.J. Cron, has a monster start to the season, and then breaks his kneecap or some weird shit. And even the Jonathan Scope 1-year deal is a great fucking 1-year deal. I hope they bring both those guys back. I really do. Even though at first base, Candelario did an amazing job filling in for the rest of the season for CJ Cron. So for once, Alavila's got some choices to make, and it's gonna be weird to see which way he goes, because now you actually do have some valuable young assets that if you did want to move that are valuable, then you can get something for them instead of making a big signing. The team ends up sucking, and you pay them all that money, and then you get a decent return. Kind of like they've been doing the past few years, but. That's neither here nor there because the Tigers did not make the playoffs. They, like I said, they shook the cage and made some noise. And I want to say they finished like 3 games back of Houston, which, like we said, they were under 500, so it really didn't matter.
31 or something like that.
And I have a feeling if you would ask any Tigers fan that's how the season would turn out, they'd be okay with that. And you got to see a lot of the young new kids come up. So I think all in all, as a Tigers fan, you should be very happy. You should be very, very happy. You saw a lot of the position players come up. Some of them do good, some of them not do good, but you got to at least see them. You got a lot of the young arms that came up. Casey Mize, everyone thought was just going to kind of walk in and take over and be King Big Dick and be win an AL Cy Young this year. No, you have to learn how to pitch at the big leagues. The kid's got everything.
Yeah, these boys can hit a little bit better than those boys in AA.
Just a little bit. But you know what? I think he responded very well to everything every start that happened. He made adjustments, and that split is fucking nasty. That split-fingered fastball is going to play at any level. I don't care what that thing is fucking nasty, and just all in all. The Tigers, the only ones you really didn't get to see were, I think, Riley Green and obviously Spencer Torkelson. But if I was Alavila, I would have been like, fuck it, why not? The last week of the season, let's bring all these kids up.
Especially if it doesn't count towards their service time.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Get them the ball.
Yeah, why not? Why not? So yeah, that's like I said, it's going to be an interesting off season for Alavila and the Tigers. So, which is going to be for a lot of teams because we don't really know what's going to happen next year. Are we going to have the same type of 60-game season? Are we going to have a full season? Are we going to have fans? Who knows? And I'm pretty sure you and I don't know either. So we just have to wait and see. But no, getting back to the Dodgers and the Braves, I say Dodgers in 7. What do you think?
I think they get it done quicker.
Think the Dodgers do it quicker?
I do. I think it's probably in 6.
6? Okay. So you're saying that the Braves are going to be more competitive than what people think?
Yeah, I think they win a couple.
Okay.
But I mean, at the end of the day, Kershaw gets 2 starts in there. Pretty tough to beat him.
Like I said, let's see which Kershaw shows up.
Fair enough.
Because I have a feeling that if he takes the ball and then gives up 7 in 3 innings, everyone's just going to be like, same old. Nothing's changed.
Yep.
Nothing's changed. And
best practice player around.
Exactly.
Once we get into the game.
It's kind of like my softball swing. But so I definitely think that with that squad. Now then again, you're looking at a squad that made an early exit in the Braves last year in the playoffs. They got demolished by the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see how they bounce back from it. They bounced back extremely well so far. Their pitching has been phenomenal. Obviously, their hitting's been where it needs to be, if not better than. So let's see if those hitters can stay hot. And I think it's going to be a really, really good series.
I think so, too. I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah. And like I said, there's so many people just writing the Braves off just because...
just because they're playing the Dodgers.
Yeah, just because they're going against this behemoth and juggernaut and all these other terms that mean they're really fucking good. And they're just not giving them any shots. So I think, you said it best where... the pressure's on the Dodgers. The Braves can just go in and play with house money. Say, fuck it. Who cares? Because there's still a lot of people that think that, they're like next year or the year after is going to be their year.
Mm-hmm.
So But you can ask Dan Marino about that, where next year is supposed to be your year and never make it back to the Super Bowl again.
Or 50 million seasons of Detroit Lions fans next year.
That again, true. Well, what was it? 109 years for Cubs fans.
Yeah, 109 years. Damn goats.
Damn goats. But no. So yeah, that's. We haven't had any questions or comments, so which I'm wondering if my software is actually pulling them. So give me a second here. Please hold. Where's my mouse at? There we go.
Hold for Tyler Lockett catching a 64-yard touchdown here in about 45 seconds. Nope, never mind there. On break.
I don't see any chat, so no one wants to talk with us, Chris, which sucks because we got a lot of stuff. We've covered a lot. I think we did a very good job. For those of you that are watching and listening, I do want to apologize for last week because I did not have our board plugged in, so you got the microphone from my MacBook, which didn't sound bad, but it didn't sound great. You know, you guys, for the most part, I especially on the audio side for the podcast, I think that our audio is usually pretty on point. So I do apologize for that, but I made sure to double check it. We are, all of our audio is plugged in this week just to make sure that, especially for the first time going live, wanted to make sure we didn't try to fuck this up. And
it's already a crapshoot with a guy who compares Tom Brady to Rich Gannon, but hey.
Well, you know what? You're the one that keeps dwelling on it.
Shit happens.
And you know what?
I can't quit thinking about it, Turbo.
Well, they're
both
like white. They're both right-handed.
It's like I did a wedding yesterday, and I'm standing there, and I'm marrying these two, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, why the hell are these people not sitting down? And I look back, and my fiance is in the background, and she's going like this, and telling me, like, slow down. I was like, I'm going slow. Mm-hmm. But she's telling me to have the people sit down. I never told them to sit down. It's like, why the hell are these people standing up? Well, that's why.
Well, for probably the first time in your life, there was like a whole group actually listened to you.
It kind of did.
Well, fuck me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead and have a seat, everybody. I'm just going to go over here and fuck myself. Yeah. And
couldn't get the candles to light, damn wind.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the people are standing up. The candles aren't lit. But other than that, anyway, I'm sorry.
But the weather was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, my goodness. Wonderful.
This week, all weekend was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, all week. It's just bean picking weather.
Well, yeah, it's
corn picking weather.
It's definitely
get your occasional ag reference when you have me on the show.
Yeah, it's definitely when you think of fall, the last couple of days is like, at least in my mind, what I think of.
Yeah, 45 in the morning,
mm-hmm.
65 at 4:00 in the afternoon. Life is good.
Sun shining. I mean, it's usually this time of year I've got my smoker going and got some meat of some sort on the smoker and or grill. Every Saturday and Sunday, I've got my iPad out on the patio watching and listening to football, and mm-hmm. Life is grand. Life is grand, and everyone's like, "Why do you watch TV on your patio?" And I'm like, "You don't?" Like, yes, watching TV outside is actually more fun than watching TV outside.
Absolutely, especially here in a month, you're going to be sitting in your house all the time.
Yeah, and if you tell me you have more fun drinking beer inside rather than drinking outside, you're fucking weird. I'm sorry. Because beer's made to be drank outside with your buddies and losing fantasy football. Because the Seahawks offense has been on the field for like, I think they said like 8 plays. Compared to Minnesota's 21, however, Minnesota's only winning 7-0, and from what it looks like, it's raining pretty good. So we shall see what happens there. Well, Mr. Reed, we're about at that 1 hour mark. Is there anything else you want to chat about, my friend?
I've really enjoyed being on the show, Turbo.
Well, thanks for coming.
I love talking sports, love talking baseball, love talking football, love talking grilling, especially when you're grilling pork.
Well, I actually did 2 pork butts for my parents. Had a little, not a party, because obviously you don't want to say party with what's going on because everyone thinks there's too many people around. But I smoked up a couple pork butts, and yes, they were melt in your mouth, fucking amazing.
That's what we like to hear.
This week I'm actually doing we picked up another pork butt, and I'm doing it in the crock pot and making carnitas.
Oh, carnitas.
Firing up my Blackstone once it's done, and kind of crisping it up and putting it on some tacos. So that should be very, very good. Very good.
I guess the only other thing I have to say is 2Ks. Go get them.
Yep. I want to see a big ass buck and you holding it. And you know what?
Even if it's not your own, we just got to see a picture.
Yep.
No.
And you know what? While you guys are out there, your old man might as well get one too. So. And Chris, you're probably going to be back with us next week, correct?
Hey.
We might see 2Ks. It just depends on when he gets back on Saturday. And if we always say we play when we're hurt. So, but we'll see what happens. I'll make fun of him, and he'll probably come on, and we'll have a.
That's right. Ryan's got the old lefty. Let's go, Reed. We're ready to rock.
Need you in the bullpen. But if nothing else, you'll definitely get the three of us.
Hey.
So, which it's it's always cool because Kyle and I have done this so long that we kind of have a repertoire, and now this is your second time now, and I feel that you and I work pretty well together. So it's not it's always good to have a backup, and B, when we don't have a lot to talk about, bring someone else in.
A little different perspective.
Exactly.
So, well, I've enjoyed being on on our first live show.
Sure, and for those of you that are catching the replay, this is going. If fingers crossed, if this works, if everything works the way I want to, we're gonna do it this way from now on. So, let's start a thing on Saturday. I don't even know what day it is. Sunday night, 8:00. The Turbo and 2Ks live stream. Let's get you guys in here chatting. Let's get some comments rolling. Because, yes, it's really pretty cool when you guys do comment. I am able to click your comment on my screen, and it shows up on this screen. So everybody can see it. So you'll be featured. So hopefully we get that rolling. Like I said, it's our first one. I didn't expect too many viewers, too many comments. So we got to start somewhere, right?
Hey,
you got to start
Rome
somewhere.
wasn't built in a day.
Exactly. So we will get out of here. Like I said, it's about that hour mark. Again, Chris, thank you, and we'll see you next week. 2Ks if you're listening. I hope you have fun. Be safe. And you forgot my GoPro, which I told you that I would give you, but hopefully we'll get you up and running on that for the rest of the deer season, or as Chelsea says, hiding from deers. So we'll see you guys on the next one next week, and if you aren't, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when we go live. Of course, that'll help. And if you guys are listening to this on the audio side, go ahead and follow us, and because that helps out the channel more than the likes. So subscribe to it wherever you are listening to your audio podcast. And as always, even though we're still live, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.